This is a coffee that cupped really well from Pulcal here in Antigua. This is only 3 years old. These trees, and let's see, that's got to be 6.5 feet tall. But it is Java cultivar Hava, which was sort of not really from Java, but sort of first planted and talked about in Nicaragua. In the Mirish farms, a long time ago, we started getting some of the Java coffee from them. It has a very kind of upright look with sort of almost a conical Christmas tree-like shape. Bronze leaves on the tips. And it is producing pretty well here. And the cup was fantastic, but very small quantity this year. This is another cool varietal, Varietalis, Coffeus arabicus. Just joking. Yeah, beautiful, well-managed farm. Gravilea tree. Sun's getting a little low over there with Agua volcano right back here, and Fuego is really steaming things up a bit today in Antigua. The problem is there's a beetle kind of that has the worm or larva it attacks the roots, and it's sometimes killing the trees. Other than that, very healthy plant. Carmona. This is the patio at Pulcal. You can see it's the evening. That's Agua volcano. It's locally called Huehue. This is a machine washer. So to supplement the washing of coffee in the channels, they use this machine that kind of spins the coffee around. These are the channels. So we sell this. It's the farm is Hacienda Carmona, but we sell it as Pulcal. These all patio here. Each lot's separated on the patio, so they might be different varieties, different parts of the farm. And some of the lots we get from here are El Inteligente, which has a great story. It was the owner, Maria, wanted to cut down a tree that was about to fall, and they're not just allowed to cut down a tree on your own farm, you have to get permission. But the guys working around the tree one day made a little fire for their lunch next to the tree, and it spread and caught the tree on fire and it burned it down. So she named it, ironically, El Inteligente, like this intelligent man who did what she wanted to do, but actually kind of screwed up in a big way. But mission accomplished, I guess. So anyway, Inteligente is one lot we get here. We have yellow Bourbon. We have the normal red Bourbon. I don't think we're getting Tequisique Bourbon this year from here, but we cupped it. For some reason that variety didn't work out. And this year we have Java, which is a variety that I found in Nicaragua first, and has come here, and it's actually super delicious here in Antigua. There's Luis Pedro, the worker. It's evening. Let's see, I think that's Fuego, where the sun is setting. The plume. Fuego's been very active lately. Some nice looking parchments. expect to see here at Carmona or Pulcal. There's the mill. All of this around here is a part of the farm, but preserved as forest land. Maria would collect orchids, native orchids up in here, these very small little orchids, and bring them down and cultivate it in her garden. But she's having some memory problems and hasn't come to the farm in the last few months this year. So I hope she recovers and can come enjoy her farm again. Huehue passed out. Not literally, just. This is a coffee warehouse of parchment of Don Aurelio in Huehue, Guatemala. We're cupping in there, getting ready to cup another table. But actually I was looking at a bunch of roasted coffee, which I have here. And I thought, I'm going to just try, if I can, to sit down on this parchment coffee and take a look at this roasted coffee and see if I can tell you some things about it. Now, the main thing for me looking at coffee is it's always just taken with a grain of salt. You can sort of estimate, oh, this looks like this might be that. But it's just guesswork, you know, it's like you leverage your knowledge. Unfortunately, I just dropped half of my coffee here that I separated. Let's go over here. See? That's Aurelio. Yeah, let's look here. It's a better light. Let's see what we can see. Okay, so these are some of our roasted samples. And what do you have here? You have a very small round bean, a very tight crease, kind of an ugly little guy. Probably a very nice coffee, but what does like the shape of coffee mean? It can mean variety. It could be just the natural variation on a single tree of cherry size. This may be on the end of the branch and the beginning of the branch. Who knows? But the shape of coffee varies greatly when you really start looking at it within one batch. And I'd argue that diversity within coffee is a good thing, except to the point where you get to defects and you want to remove them because they ruin your cup. Here we have some interesting, see, these are like, what do you call this? False, it's like, I'm going to say polysperma, which that's a variety. But you have, this is called an ear with a hole, and this is about to separate. So it's like the two beans have intermeshed there, and it's going to create one that has a space. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be a little funkier in the roaster. It may create a little carboniness, but nothing wrong with the flavor there. Here you have a kind of a light colored bean. It almost looks like a pea berry, but I don't think it is. And if you compare the color of these two, so that's a Quaker or semi-Quaker. That's going to affect the cup. You can have a couple of those sometimes, and especially in the semi-Quaker, it's not. But a lot of times you can just take this and eat it if you don't choke on it. And what you'll find is a kind of nutty flavor in there, kind of dry nutty, and not a really good one. This is a pea berry where it's just in the cherry there was only one seed, not two, so it doesn't have a flat side because it didn't have to share it with its brother or sister. You have a kind of a normal little ovoid bean. This is sort of a sign, this white spot, which is kind of slightly raised. It's a bubble that happened in roasting. It's kind of a sign of freshness in coffee that's not rested. High moisture content, or the moisture is not sort of equalized through the coffee, and as it degasses during the roasting, it sort of expands the internal layer. Another ear. No cup problems there. Really no cup problems here, although you just might be a hint that the coffee needs more resting. Here's something interesting is like, let's look at a couple of these here. There's a couple. Coffee that's kind of opened up. The crease has like opened up. And one thing, if you see a lot of this in a coffee, it's probably a low-grown coffee. Like here's a tight crease from a really good dense bean that's remained shut during roasting. And this one's opened up a little, and these have opened up a lot. So it could be, on the tree, these weren't very dense beans. They could be removed in density sorting on the machine. They wouldn't be gross, they wouldn't really bring down the cup. Unless this one looks a little bit like Quakery, underdeveloped. But if you had a lot of these in a coffee, like a Brazil, you'll see that the crease opens a lot. You're talking probably about a coffee without a lot of bean density. So as it expands in the roasting process, it kind of just doesn't have the structural density of the cell network. It's sort of like this. It's like a woven fabric, and in a dense coffee bean, it's a tight weave, and in a soft coffee that's grown quickly because it's matured quicker at lower altitude, those cells are bigger, so the material is, if you compared it to this, it's larger material, and then it sort of doesn't have the same rough texture. So, well, anyway, all of these things are things that I sort of take with a grain of salt, unless I see obvious Quaker, that's going to affect the cup. Nothing else here, all these kind of little weird mutations really is like a red flag about quality. And my friend Scott Reed always used to say in coffee, don't be an eye cupper. Just don't think that you look at coffee roasted green and say, oh, it's this, it's that. That's kind of the, I guess in the current vernacular is often called mansplaining. But people just trying to know too much by it. That said, old traders used to be amazingly good at looking at green coffee and saying, well, this is the value of this, or I see this problem. So it's kind of a skill too, but kept in proportion with cup testing. Hooray!
Se está preparando, que se está consagrando, aquel pueblo que se ha propuesto de serle fiel. Jesucristo viene pronto, y esta no es palabra mía, y esta no es palabra de mujer. Yo no predico palabra de hombre, yo le digo a la gente, nosotros les predicamos la verdad es Jesucristo, y esta palabra es verdad, no es palabra nuestra, no es invento de nosotros, esta es palabra de Dios. Nosotros no predicamos doctrinas de hombres, no predicamos religión, predicamos a un Cristo de poder, a un Cristo resucitado entre los muertos, a un Cristo vivo.